Dear students, I thought I would give you an overview of some of the document design principles in Word, some very useful things, especially with using the heading function and using some other functions. This will help you understand what I'm looking for in terms of document design. I have a sample proposal from a student. You have seen this in other places. This is a proposal to create a pre-departure orientation for NMSU students who study abroad. Now I want to look at the document design and format of this document. As you will see, one of the things I ask you to do is to put it in a memo format. This is actually in a memo format, which means it has the to, the from. I deleted that so you don't see who the student is, but she had that. The date and regarding. I usually like to line these up here. It makes it a little bit easier to scan. Now let's look at how this document is designed regarding the headings. She really only has one level of headings that's carried throughout, and she needs 2 or 3. Now the heading levels are much like the outline function. You've got level 1, level 2, 3, 4, etc. The one thing I like about Word, and I don't like many features of Word, but this is one thing I like. If you go up to the top and press the Home tab, now across here you will see the style functions, and here you'll see some headings. This is where you can program in your heading levels, and this is what this student needs to do. You see she hasn't done that. Right here all she has done is use the same font, type, and size and simply bolded it. And she only uses this one level throughout, and she needs more levels or subheadings. And I talked about this earlier. Here we have a level 1 solutions, and then using the same font type and size, she has a second level, but this signals that these are parallel levels because they're the same, when in fact this should be smaller and subordinate to solutions. So she needs to organize her headings that way. So what she does, all of you, I suggest, you don't have to, but this is easier, to use Word's heading function. You highlight it, come up here, and hit heading 1. Now if you don't like the font type and size, you can always modify. For example, I don't like blue because blue we usually print things out, maybe not so much anymore, but I generally like black. You see this is Calibri, it's 14. That's a pretty good heading size, and it's bolded. So, and actually what this heading does is also gives you space to further set off the document. In other words, you will see that it has more space than heading level 2, and it shows this as a heading level 1. You can modify the space as well. Go here, then go under paragraph, and you see that it has 24 points before it, and that's this space right here. That's a little too much for me, so I usually put 12, or maybe, now let's go with 12, and you see how that tightens that up. But what that does is that makes every heading level 1 consistent. Present situation. Now this is not a heading level 1, this is a heading level 2 because it's a part of the problem section. So you do that, and again I don't like the blue. This is just something that she probably had in there. Change that to black. You know, this is a little smaller and it's bolded, but maybe instead of bolding you italicize. And so all heading level 2s then can be smaller type font size and italicize and bold. And so these are all heading level 2. I wonder why that didn't bold. Oh, I guess she had this, she bolded this already. Okay, so this shows that these are part of the problem section. So this would be a heading level 2. Whoops. Okay. And you don't need the colon after it because it's already highlighted. Now, criteria would be a heading level 1 because it's not part of the problem section. It's its own major category. Boom, heading level 1. Now, solutions, heading level 1, but the overview would be a heading level 2. Okay, and this way you make the headings, the document design, consistent. So we'd go through and we'd make sure this is all heading level 2. I think she probably should have a 3 here. This is a 2 here, a 2 here. I'm not going to take time to change that. And this is probably a 2 as well. She probably could have put this in a table. And this is a heading level 2 here. And I don't know if she needs heading level 3 here. Maybe she doesn't. But what the heading levels do is it gives you consistency. It tells the readers exactly how the sections relate to each other. Some students ask, should we put numbers? In other words, should the problem section be section 1 and criteria would be section 2? So for example, all heading level 1s would have numbers. These numbers are meaningless here, which means the readers will understand why they are there. Don't use numbers. Numbers are useful when documents get really long and complex and you will need to cite the very part of them, and it's easier to use a number systems like 2.1, 2.2, etc. But in these short proposals, you do not need to use numbers. So make sure you use the different levels of headings, and I don't care if you use words function or not, but make them consistent throughout. Another thing that's interesting is the use of lists and indentations. Now, to explain the indentations and lists, I want you to, we're going to go back and look at the Buddy McCormick memos. This was from the first day of class. And I want you to think about your resumes and scannability. This is version 1. Now, there's really no document design in terms of headings. These are just long paragraphs. But if we go to version number 3, look at how you know the content of this document by its design. It has a great heading, overview, work accomplished. So this is the first level of heading. The second level would be under here, and you can actually read this document in many ways, and these are indented under. And so using you can use when you need to list things, even if it's in a short paragraphs, you can indent them under, and this is part of the chapter 14 on document design as well. The last thing I want to talk about in conjunction with the chapter on document design is actual paragraph length. Now, if you look at these paragraphs, if you look at this paragraph here, how many of you want to take a break and go get a cup of coffee or go to the soda machine? Because this is quite a long paragraph. Once it gets more about right to here, this is getting a little long. And the reason is that people read these documents in stages or in different ways. They'll start with maybe they'll read the introduction, skip the problem because they agree with it, and move to another section. And they like to read chunks of it, and then people in the workplace are often distracted. So the better thing to do here would be to try to break this up as much as possible. Now, right here, this is okay. This is about the limit in terms of length. It's fine. Get a little bit longer than this and it's harder to read. So if you look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Once you're going over 10 to 12 lines, the paragraphs start to get a little longer, a little too long, and it's time to start breaking them up. Now, another thing that you can use the headings, I'm really emphasize having good paragraphs and topic sentences, but often the headings serve as topic sentences because they tell you what is going to follow. So many times if you have a good heading, you don't need to have a good topic sentence. So here she could also have broken these up into heading levels 3 to make not every paragraph had a have a heading, but most major sections have headings, and you can have one heading for a variety of paragraphs. But if you look at this here, and if we take out the number as I talked about, present situation, this is hard to scan as well. There's just not enough headings. It would have been a little bit better to have present situation, maybe a better heading, a little more descriptive. Present issues with a study abroad program might be a good heading. and then you have a second level heading breaking up the problem sections and maybe say putting the ideal situation or something like that. But make the headings like the Buddy McCormick memos version number 3, where it gives the readers the ability to skip, to scan, to read, to organize the content according to the design of the document. The last thing on document design is I want to talk about font type, and the chapter talks about this, and the chapter does a very good job, but I do want to emphasize it. If you look at this, I want to look at the let's go to 200. I want to show you the if you look at this, this is Times New Roman. This is a common, what's called a serif. Now serif, if you look at the top of that K, it has what's called little feet, and these little feet you'll see them at the bottom of the A, here the S, the D. They give they were developed a long time ago, and the purpose is to help the reader process the letters easily, and it gives it more even space. So paragraphs need to be written in a serif font because that provides a little wider spacing, and there's been a lot of research that shows that it's easier to read. Don't use a sans serif font like Arial for body text because it's been shown that it's too compact, it's harder to read, it's harder on the eyes. I guess this is actually bold. No, it's not bold. So as you can tell, this is more difficult to process, and it's been shown by a lot of researchers that that's the truth. However, with headings, it's fine to use what's called a sans serif, such as Arial or Calibri, because you can actually put more into the situation, and since it's a heading, you don't need, it's not as crucial to have those feet to help you flow through the paragraph, because it's just a couple of words, 2 or 3 words. One other thing too is make sure that you left justify the whole document. That's up here. See, now if you look at that, that's full justified. It looks neat here because this margin is consistent, but the spacing, in order to make it consistent over here, the spacing has to be inconsistent through here. It's been shown that this is more difficult to read, so all of your documents should be left justified. I know this reviews some of the chapter, but I wanted to emphasize these points. I hope this helps, and please send me questions, and good luck on your documents.